things on. Well, I won't ever forget those good times that we spent. Ever could out outside the city.
Let's check that we have sound. I didn't check that.
Oh, how am I sounding?
Yeah. There we go.
Me being muted probably improves the cast.
Yeah, you can just gesture.
Yeah,
you can just do
you don't want
international sign language. All right.
We must have talked about it before. I'm surprised. Didn't really register, but yeah, of course there are different languages or dialects of sign language. Why wouldn't there be?
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I wonder. And you'd think, different cultures, and some things wouldn't make sense. Yeah.
Just like in spoken languages, makes me kind of wonder if there are multiple languages of Braille.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if they would have, because you're really limited. Like that, it's kind of like Morse code or whatever.
Well, you would be unless someone's come up with something completely different.
Yeah, that's true.
Which we probably would have heard about by now. But yeah,
there was a funny. Somebody made a funny comment about the Eternals. There was a deaf character in the Eternals doing sign language, but they're thousands of years old, and this was taking place like before recorded history. And one of the signs was this for time. It's like,
wouldn't it be like hourglass?
Right. So it's like, okay, well, you should have probably thought about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, okay, thinking about like all the media we watch now, where it's just like thousands of years in the past, or like I'm still finishing the Viking series, and I'm like, they're speaking English, bro. Right?
You're right.
So it's like, yeah. Part of you goes, yeah. The other part is like, why not?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we have to. So what, suspension of disbelief for a lot of that stuff, like all the British accents in the Chernobyl series.
Still watching Vikings, like I enjoy watching that with sound off more often than not.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of have to, but then sometimes when I am able to watch it with sound, I'm like, completely different from the way I imagined you sounding. This is worse.
Oh, interesting.
Right? No, not good. Right? Yeah, or some kind of fantasy stuff with all those fake British accents. I'm just like, mute subtitles. The only annoying thing there is when you occasionally get the bracket speaks in foreign bracket. I'm like, I need to know what he said. Right? Unless it's like background, right?
Yeah.
Or unless it's supposed to be something like, I'm prolonging the intro, but I've talked before about the Netflix series Into the Night, about like the airplane that just has to keep moving because of something.
Right.
I forget which country produced that, but like the main characters, and it's an ensemble cast, are talking like 6 different languages. You got like Russian, English, Arabic, a few other ones, or like Dutch. And that was interesting because it was kind of a conspiracy thing. Ooh. And so little groups of characters could talk to each other in their own language, and a couple people would be like, what's going on? And then it would be interesting. It was like bracket language and whatever, and that's where it made sense, and that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like that when they make choices to not subtitle things, kind of putting you in the perspective of like, maybe there's a character taken prisoner or whatever, they can't understand what their captors are saying, and you can't either, so you're like, whoa, I'm just as confused as they are. I think that works well. Sometimes it works well, but it gets, and then when you've got Japanese Netflix and whatever, it's like, okay, you have to choose a language. We're going to watch something in French, and we have to choose Japanese or English. Yeah,
like when my partner watches stuff, she puts on like Japanese language subtitles, and she's like, what'd you think of that movie? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, because like it was too low for me to
that first sentence.
It was too low for me to hear anything of the audio, and I'm like, I can't read. Look nice, I guess. Right. Anyway,
Nice. All right. So any game stuff going on for you?
Not that much. I mean, my little copy of, you can see, Button Shy's Rove showed up.
Nice.
I'm incredibly impressed. 18 cards, and it's kind of like a little puzzle game. Then I got the other expansions, but all of them are little wallets of like 18 cards max.
Oh, those are really well done. Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to see on camera, but like the little design of the stuff is just real
nice,
kind of cute and slick.
Yeah, we should do a over the table kind of like run through
cool.
of how that looks really nice. Yeah. Oh, very cool.
Nice. How about you?
Good ideas. Not much. I put together a little video for the Blade Runner timeline because it's a little bit confusing, and it took me a little bit to get my head around. It's like, wait, what? Because some stuff when the setting of the RPG just happened, like some really huge changes just happened, and so you kind of have to. That has to make sense because it's like, okay, there were Blade Runners, and your image of Blade Runner is the Voight-Kampff test, and we got to find these guys, and you're a replicant, bang, and that's not the case anymore. But what has happened is human conspirators can also be executed on site.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But now the replicants are much harder to detect. A database was given by the Tyrell Corporation to the UN, so everybody knew who all the replicants were. And then there was the sabotage of the kind of the cloud system and backups and the blackout that it deleted that. And so it's like, okay, and then this happened and this happened. So you got to kind of get up to speed because they only told you that in little anime or short films that they did between the two movies. So it's an interesting tension, but it takes a little bit to get up to speed. So I just did a quick kind of fun little timeline thing.
Oh, cool.
So hopefully that will help, and hopefully it'll be useful to other people, along with my crammed, insane little reference sheet for for all the
I don't know, man.
roles
You'll
and
take a while to
everything.
beat the alien. It'll take an effort to beat the alien one.
Right. Yeah, that was crammed on. And I did one because we're going to play digitally. I did one where I reversed it so it's black. It's like white text on black with like the red bolded, like the like the introduction, like retired.
Retired. Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look and see who's in chat. Hey Matt, how's it going? And Kyle, good to see you, Kyle. Yeah, I gave Matt a little preview of the video. I think I'm going to do that's just for the game session we're doing. I think I'll do like a kind of paraphrase it a little bit more so it can flow a little bit, and then do voiceover for it so you don't have to read it, because reading it is not fun. Right. Yeah, you can pause it when it's a YouTube video. You can pause it. But it's hard to get the timing because people have different reading speeds, and it's kind of dynamic and graphic and moving, and that's a little annoying. So I think voiceover would help a lot. All right. So let's. So I hope everyone is doing well, and we will get on with it. So it's a real depressing. Another depressing.
one.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing the little animated GIF of Charles Foster Kane like smashing up that bedroom at the beginning, because that's going to be my like attitude almost every week now. There's going to be some news. Son of a god! Just want to be breaking things and. Throwing stuff around. Yeah, so a little bit of a mess, and we're finally a little bit of a delay, but we're feeling the effects of like supply chain and things like, oh, it got really expensive, but it's temporary. No, it's not. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. All right, so let's get started. Not do that on mic. I have to take that out every week. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, Darkest Dungeon board game shipping problems. There's a little bit of a dispute. Yes, a dispute on shipping. RiotOnline closes. Return to the Dark Tower.
Okay, so a re-return to the Dark Tower.
Re-return, yes. We're returning. And Cthulhu app in Japan.
Oh.
So I thought that was a fun.
Hopefully a game and not just some kind of like precursor to
right.
the actual end of the world. Yeah,
it's just a you just have to click it a bunch of times, and you get to the Elder Gods.
As long as you can like ram a boat into it, you'll be fine.
Right. So let's begin. Yeah, this is supply chain and how shipping
ramming boats
and
things.
oil and everything is just out of control. So Darkest Dungeon board game backers are a little bit upset right now, but they're always upset. Kickstarter backers are always upset. So Mythic, the makers of the Darkest Dungeon board game, in cooperation with Red Hook, I believe, is this is a PC game, right? A very popular kind of indie PC game with a really nice grimdark look, where you take a group of characters into a dungeon, and their positioning means a lot, and it's real rogue, like you're dying a lot and trying to revive, and there's a sanity mechanism and a lot of death, and the art is interesting. So it was cool to see a miniature board game made.
Oh, there's miniatures
of this. Yeah. So Mythic did this, and they're trying to explain to the backers. So they should have been receiving things already. And it's done. It's finished. The first wave of English, the core game English boxes are sitting warehoused in China. They're paying storage on them every day.
Right.
And that's not cheap. So they're trying to explain to the backers, and this Kickstarter is from October 2020.
Oh, 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
So almost 2 years.
Yeah, and very successful. So they raised more than 5.8 million. Oof. Yeah, and so like we're talking about, the popular IPs,
Yep.
games as board games are quite popular, but there's a serious financial shortfall now, and they explain, and they even put a little chart. They did a graph on the explanation page, but like, look at what we're dealing with. So material costs went up at the same time as at an average. So material costs went up and shipping went up about 600%.
Yeah. Yep.
So these are the two problems. The pandemic and then Ukraine are hampering a lot of pathways to Europe and everywhere else for shipping. So they thought it would be temporary. A temporary delay, so they were doing updates just hold your horses, we're getting there. And then they decided that we're going to have to do something about this because we're paying storage for this forever. So today the shipping cost, this is a quote from them, to get these games from an update by Mythic, to get these games to you, the cost will be 3.1 million, which is 1.4 million more than the 1.7 that you've already paid.
Wow.
So
that's almost doubled.
Yes. Right. Yeah, almost doubled. And so on top of that, there was an additional 350,000 in manufacturing costs that they didn't that they couldn't have predicted.
Increased cost of materials.
Yeah, increase in oil and raw materials. So it's a total of 1.75 million in additional costs to be paid above what they actually got from the Kickstarter. And so they have been eating those costs and have actually their previous Kickstarter, Anasteer, they just ate all the overages. That this is temporary. I'm going to keep this ball rolling. This happens again. You don't have that extra. You can't take the profits from the previous, anything, and there's nowhere to put it. So in order to ensure sustainability of Mythic Games, to deliver our outstanding games and allow our teams to continue to develop games with passion and commitment, we have made the decision to no longer absorb these additional costs because it was coming away. They can't pay people. They have to start cutting corners on production. So Mythic will pay half of this shortfall, so half of that 1.75. With assistance from Red Hook Studios, who's going to directly contribute because this is also their IP, their reputation. So they want to, but that still leaves 875,000 for backers to cover. That's the overage. And so what they did is they proposed a flat amount, so not depending on region or location.
Right.
If you ordered the core box, we would like you to pay an extra $18. If you ordered like an all-in type pledge, we would ask you for $29, which is not unreasonable.
No, not unreasonable. Yeah.
But the internet has never been known for its being
That's all you had to say, right? That's really all you had to say. It sounds reasonable until...
And so I'm sure the shipping costs were already a little expensive, but this is not huge. It's not like they're asking you to double what you had already paid. It's just like, we've got to spread this around, and we're already taking a big hit on this. So another update was we have already paid for shipping, and since we have come to an agreement, this is a backer. So this is the disgruntled backer. So we've already paid for shipping, and since we have come to an agreement, there's no agreement. This is Kickstarter. It is a donation, basically. It's not a pre-order. Since we have come to agreement, now you are daylight robbing us for more money. This is called extortion. There should be a good sir after that. If this was on Reddit, if I would have been.
Hear the vague comic book guy tone in your voice now. Yeah,
I can understand that prices have gone up and that the shipping has increased, but that's really the company's problem to solve without any more backer money. No, it's not. Like literally, if you know anything about how this international shipping works, once that storage fee gets too high, they can just say, put it in the ocean. We're going to abandon it. We don't care. Yep. You don't get your games. Screw you. You wouldn't pay $19 more. You wouldn't pay $29 more. Fine. That's fine.
I'm sure there's more. Right? But I kind of agree with that person, right? Like this is the company's responsibility to solve, and the way they've decided to solve it is rather than going bankrupt, rather than chucking the games you paid for into the ocean and abandoning it and killing any good rep we have decided if you pay a little bit more, and we explained why, we broke it down, and we tried to do it as fairly as possible. if you pay a little bit more, you'll get your game and everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
Sorry, like that's what they've chosen to do.
It's daylight robbery with charts and graphs.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, so this and this and this.
gotta
and
be
this.
so-
Okay,
so
we tried
dramatic.
really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody always falls back on Kickstarter. The comments are always so brutal, and they always resort to customers' rights and the responsibility of it's like, no,
You know
no,
what?
no, no, no.
Okay, I'm going to mess up the quote, right?
Uh-huh.
But as someone who kind of effectively works in customer service, the quote is, the customer is always right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. It's one of those quotes that always gets shortened. It's in matters of taste. The customer is always right? It's
Yes,
like,
yes,
do you
yes.
want, if they
Yes,
if they can't choose
perfect.
between yellow, blue, and pink, your choice, right? The customer gets the one they want. It's not the customer is always right, full stop.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. And I won't continue. These start to be subreddit quotes. We won't get into this, but everyone's grandstanding and saying, of course, the company needs to stand, and they've already done that. They did that on a previous project, and they said, this is going to cause us, irreparable damage. We're going to start having to, take away from how we're able to produce things. So the other thing that's kind of bothering customers is because everything's already paid for, it's sitting there ready to go, automatic refunds are no longer available.
Well,
So,
that was my other
Yeah.
thing. I was wondering, like, we were probably at this stage where refunds don't work because, like,
Yeah, it's already paid
it's
for.
made, it's
Yeah.
paid for, it's done. Right?
Yeah. So, so Mythic said you can contact customer service if you're, I don't want this, I don't want to be involved, I want my money back, and we will do our best. To quote, depending on individual circumstances and our financial situation. So, of course, Kickstarter, the company only has a fundamental obligation, kind of best effort, and they don't have to give you anything for
they
your
don't.
money. They can take the money and run, and you won't support them again in the future. But
Or you will because you're
there's-
dumb.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, last time.
I got burned the last time, but this is the one. Yeah.
Right. So the Kickstarter policy: backers must understand Kickstarter is not a store. When you back a Kickstarter, you are helping to create something new, not pre-ordering something that already exists. As Kickstarter does not offer refunds, we encourage backers to investigate project ideas first and to vet the creator thoroughly and assess inherent project risks themselves before making a pledge.
Yep. So correct me if I'm wrong. You kind of have to agree. Speaking of agreements, don't you kind of have to agree to something like that to use Kickstarter? Where it's like,
Oh, yeah, right,
okay,
right. Yeah,
you've
you are agreeing to
accepted
those terms,
that
yeah.
there may be a risk of things changing. They did.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, right. And that's all that they can do. So it's 29,000 backers. Because it was a huge amount. So I mean, spreading that out is
That's the fairest way they
yeah,
can do
and
it.
it's great that it will actually be a thing. And I think the thing people don't understand also is, if you're doing any manufacturing or dealing in China, you're going to also run into that, daylight robbery of Chinese manufacturing, because once things are done, then sometimes you get renegotiation in price that you never anticipated. And we never hear those stories because companies don't want to talk about what a nightmare that is. And also, maybe ruin their relationships with future production. But so this was initially announced July 2020. And like I said, raised $5.6 million. So it was expected to begin fulfillment last year, but of course, they had
Stuff.
Things of course happened. So it's too bad, and I definitely have a lot of sympathy for the company. They're going to have to take damage, and this time they decided we'll take the PR damage instead of the financial damage because we can't keep doing this.
Or they already said we're paying half of the stuff, right? Like we've already eaten the profits from something else. To back this up, we've reached out to this other company that's part of it. We're paying half of this cost. Can you cover the other 50%? Right?
And of course, we'll end with a very understanding backer on Reddit who said, "We're being totally screwed." Right? You know how they could have avoided the shipping increase by shipping it when they were supposed to. Yeah. They got all the answers there.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's how stuff works. Yeah, that's how stuff works, right? Shipping delays are always on the company.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
always things are always finished when they're supposed to be. There's never complications.
No.
So if they would have shipped us last year, there wouldn't be this trouble. Oh my God. So
Why do you not do voices for RPGs?
I gotta
Like, you could be the next Matt Mercer, really.
No. Oh my God.
As long as there's this very specific subset
yes,
of
yeah,
NPCs.
right. It's got to be all Redditors.
My God, I hate Jeremy's NPCs. You're really supposed to.
Yeah, so Mythic will keep updating status, and I'm interested to see how many people are going to pay, and if they are going to try to stick them. But I mean, basically, I think Mythic is within their rights to just say, you don't pay this extra, you don't get the game. Sorry, that's the best we can do.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to probably destroy some of those games or try to distribute them from Asia or something very differently. And I'm sure there's some Chinese reseller just waiting to, oh, really? Is that container not leaving? We can help.
Abandoned.
And then Alibaba will be your distributor.
Yeah, probably.
Yikes. All right. Well, another piece of horrible freaking news. It just keeps getting worse. So I got an email out of nowhere.
Don't donate to any princes, please.
Right, it wasn't that. I already helped that guy out. He's doing better. But DriveThruRPG, I got a free link to all the PDFs from the previously published Trudvang Chronicles PDF games.
Okay.
So RiotMinds. Yep. So RiotMinds just suddenly sent me a link. Here's all the PDFs. I'm like, okay, great. And then I looked back through other email, and in my spam folder was, hey, RiotOnline is closing. I'm like, oh, whoa, because RiotMinds did have a platform. It was more like a D&D Beyond kind of platform where you can access things digitally. I think you could do some character creation, but it wasn't a full featured like VTT. Right. Okay. But they had a digital platform, and when you supported things on Kickstarter, they automatically gave you the content also on that platform to kind of encourage people to use it. So they're closing. So why are they closing? Is this just a financial? Well, I guess it is kind of a financial thing. But so the email that I found with this explanation was due to CMON purchase of RiotMinds IPs, Trudvang, both English and Swedish, LexOccultum, Götterdämmerung in Swedish, and RiotOnline will be closing. Will be closing because they've acquired these. They also have Rune, the other one, Rune Masters. Oh, right, okay. Rune Masters is also part of that deal. So yeah, so everything that you've had links to, we're going to send you the PDF to, and I think we already got that from the Kickstarter as well. But just to be sure that everyone gets what they were entitled to, they sent another free version of the PDFs. So all who have bought Trudvang or LexOccultum products from RiotOnline will receive links from DriveThruRPG with the PDF downloads. Look for them in your spam folder, which they sometimes end up. And P.S. So best regards, RiotMinds. And P.S. Please hurry and print your characters. So I guess this is like a days. Like they're giving you a couple of days to do this. This is not like months away. It's going down quickly. And great. Okay, so how did I miss this? I'm constantly looking at the news, and nobody reported this at all. There's a tiny little post on their Facebook page, and I think a tiny press release from CMON, and nobody covered it. It's kind of a
big, it's not D&D, Jeremy.
thing. Oh, that's right. If it was, but they did port it to 5e. They did port Trudvang to 5e.
Oh, see, there you go. That's why you don't need anything else.
Oh, that's right. Why do we even care? So anyhow, the press release, CMON acquires Trudvang, LexOccultum, Rune Masters from RiotMinds, and this is from July 1st. So, yikes. So it's all gone. And I think the reason that this happened is it's been delayed several times. It's finally shipping, but CMON was doing a real miniatures-heavy board game adaptation of Trudvang, so Trudvang Adventures.
Ah, so you think they kind of
we
bought it and then kind of just quietly buried it to not compete with something else they were doing?
Or maybe, and or maybe it's just like, because they have their little dedicated TTRPG studio now.
Why do we need this other one?
Yeah, and so maybe, but maybe this is just plug and play basically, and if we clean up the rules, I think that's the problem. And they had several successful Kickstarters, but Trudvang never really took off, and same with LexOccultum, because it used a real crunchy Swedish point system where you're buying, your character building is buying, you have an action economy in turn order, and so it's very strategic and holding back points, and do I have enough points to block, do I have enough points to attack?
Okay, interesting.
And I just don't think it didn't match the kind of 5e sensibility, which is why they did a port of 5e right before all of this happened. So in the press release, it says CMON intends to explore new avenues for storytelling in each of these worlds, which means board games, I guess.
Board games or better 5e adaptations.
Right. Yep. So the nice thing about this is all of the art assets are intact. And the reason that I was attracted to this game in the first place is all the gorgeous Paul Bonner fantasy art. And that's all going to be there. And now we can have a CMON level of production for that. So we may see some nice Kickstarters. They may do like a rules, it's like a second edition or something. But this is basically Dragons and Demons. This is one of the settings of Dragons and Demons. And it was purchased. So the reason that RiotMinds exists is because with the death of Target Games.
Right. Okay.
They specifically bought those rights to Dragons and Demons, and that was the first thing they published in Swedish. And the English version of that is Trudvang, is what we got as Trudvang Chronicles. But it's a specific it's setting specific. There were like 3 or 4 different settings, like kind of like Forgotten Realms and
Ravenloft.
Everything for Dungeons and Dragons. There were multiple settings, including Chronopia, that they had done for Dragons and Demons, and so that was their attempt to bring this to the English-speaking world. It wasn't translated the best. Right. You got a pretty good idea of the setting. The setting is wonderful because it's like Celtic and Nordic, combine the peoples and everything. It's a really interesting setting. The system is rough. I don't know how much they play tested it in English because there's a lot of like, what this
that's the thing. Like, as someone who has tried a very small amount of like technical writing for like board game style rules, like that stuff has got to be tight.
Yes.
So if it's mistranslated or not translated the best, the rules quickly become like unusable. You're just like,
right.
And especially if it's supposed to be like, okay, wishy-washy hippie bullshit indie game, you can figure it out. Super crunchy, like point kind of thing. You're just like, no, this stuff matters.
Right. Yeah, and that's something even Free League is running into. They're still having some like real dodgy, like you use 2 different terms for the same
Which one?
thing, hand to hand or close combat. What are we doing here?
Oh my god, why are we playing a game that fucking matters, right? Anyway,
right. So, which is interesting though, because Free League just announced in Swedish they now have the rights to Dragons and Demons.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing a Swedish a re-release of that. So they part of this kind of everything being broken down is Free League stepped in, but RiotMinds was like the number 2 localizer for the English speaking market of Swedish RPGs. So that sucks that we're losing them. Yeah, but they were. There's no employees, basically. It was all contractors. It was 2 guys that founded it, Theodore Bergquist and Magnus Melnberg. And I think they were involved in Target Games and stuff. I think that's why they knew about things. And they were definitely involved in Paradox, or the kind of organization that took over IP management of all that stuff, which was also Conan and everything in Sweden or in Europe. So we got a quote from Theodore Bergquist that said, CMON has been a most valuable partner and instrumental in strengthening the brand of Trudvang Chronicles. RiotMinds is very excited to see such great brands as Trudvang, LexOccultum, and Ruin Masters in the hands of this global gaming and publishing company. I'm sure the fans of those games will get a lot more content going forward and a chance to delve deeper into those settings with CMON.
Well, what else could you say? I mean,
Other
than burn your bridges, right?
And we are making a boatload on this, so we're not really interested in tabletop anymore. Yeah, because they're doing like VR and they've got a lot of other interests, I guess. And Francesco Nipotello, the CMON head of IP and RPGs, said RiotMinds has a tradition of creating deep and engaging worlds characterized by unique concepts and outstanding art. Here at CMON, we are honored to receive the keys to Trudvang. So hopefully they'll do a good job with it. And the thing that the Kickstarter that they just released, the production values and everything were amazing for the kind of already the new edition or kind of revamp of the RPG that they just produced. So that's a good sign that they'll continue. And CMON is huge. I didn't realize they're like number 2 as far as producing. So that's right behind Asmodee or whatever.
Wow.
So they're huge at, and I think maybe that's in Europe or whatever, but pretty amazing. So we just got a quick announcement. Friends and fans, longtime supporters, that's the end of a thing. And so it was really weird. It just kind of went under the radar. And these guys were, of course, the Paradox founders, so they've been involved in tabletop for a while, and I guess they're just kind of done. It's like, we did as much as we're going to do, and I guess that they might be getting up there in age anyhow, looking for their golden parachute out of this whole thing. Who
Or
knows?
sometimes you just get tired of doing something. You're just like,
Yeah, so that's it. They're and it wasn't a huge sale price because they were talking about multi-millions.
Wow,
But
okay.
they were very secret about what this was. But the multi-millions that they gave were in Swedish crowns, which meant about $900,000.
Oh, well, still more than all of them I can see. So yeah,
But it's a lot of big properties. I was really surprised for that price that they're letting go like three, pretty good properties that could have been developed independently. So there was an interview, an interesting interview with Theodore Bergquist about kind of the timing and everything. I'll put a link to that in the description. But basically, they we had many successful Kickstarters and we built a distribution channel internationally. We had good margins on the games. And we sold, even if the majority went to reinvestment into new projects, we generated a good surplus. So they were success. They considered everything that they did a success, and they were, happy to bring Dragons and Demons to English.
so I guess kind of going out on not necessarily high, but like we did okay.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like they're not going bankrupt or anything. It was just like they had this opportunity. CMON was like, hey, we'll
take it.
Yeah, we'll develop a lot of stuff for this because we can do board games and RPGs because we have 2 studios now basically doing that. So we'll see. And so they're all there. And so several successful Kickstarters for all of this. But I'm really, I guess it's like history is happening right now. And if I would have been paying attention for like the bankruptcy of Target or whatever, I would have been like the Target Games. I would have been like, oh, this sucks. And I wish the people that like were into Warzone or Doom Trooper card game or whatever, and they just had it suddenly die on them. This is that same feeling. I'm just like, we're not done yet, but hopefully we'll see a continuation and maybe some increase in popularity. If there's board games from CMON, maybe that'll help feed the people interested in the RPG. We'll see. But there is a second printing coming.
Oh, nice.
A return to the Dark Tower. And actually, there's a really great article on vulture.com about kind of how this project happened, the origins of it, and the involvement of Isaac Childress from Gloomhaven fame. So that's really worth. I won't go over all that, but I'll definitely put a link to that. And there is another crowdfunder. So this is not Kickstarter; it's a backer kit because they've already gone through the Kickstarter. So they are doing a second printing of Return to Dark Tower, and it's interesting that the reason they called it Return to Dark Tower, the trademark and everything is just gone. Nobody owns it anymore. Oh. But Stephen King has the famous, so it's like, okay, we can't just call it Dark Tower because then we're going to be fighting. Eventually, we're going to be fighting with Stephen King. So Return to Dark Tower is getting a second printing and also a Covenant expansion, which introduces 4 more heroes and new mechanics, as well as these kind of shrines or like these large buildings, these large structures that inhabit the world and have different mechanics. So if you pledge to the first one and didn't go all in, you can get any of the stuff from the first campaign separately, like as add-ons to improve the game, or just go with the new expansion, or get everything that they've done so far. And it's a successful reinterpretation. I don't like how much it relies on the app. That's one thing. I'm just like, could they just make a version of this that you could run without an app, that you don't have to actually, because what happens when in 20 years we're beyond that? It's like, okay, they don't.
Well, then you got to buy the new Return to Dark Tower.
Yeah, so that's a little bit troubling. I wish there was like an offline mode or a way. It's like, okay, everything that this is going to be doing will have the tower automated, and there's cards or something that you can actually, if you don't have internet, if you don't have a device, that would make things work. But that's not the age we're in. But it's a really interesting. I did a big unboxing of everything. The materials are gorgeous. They did ink washes on all the miniatures, so they're beautiful right out of the box. They look great on the table. So you can return again if you missed it that last time. And
returning.
Yes, and that article is definitely worth a read if you're interested in the game at all, because it really shows the passion that Restoration Games, who is producing this, has for bringing back these lost IPs. They were the ones actually interested in Hero Quest first, and then Hasbro said, "Oh, really? You're interested? Well, there must be a market for it. We don't have to do any work now. We'll just re-release it." So that's why we didn't get Restoration Games Hero Quest, is because
But we still got to. But we have hero. I'm looking at the Hero Quest
oh yeah,
right over
yeah.
there. Like,
Well,
we still got to play it.
we have a generic D Citadel miniaturified, the D Games Workshop version, but I think Restoration Games would have maybe had a little bit more nostalgia. And finally, we now have an app in Japan. So there was an announcement for the Cthulhu.
Wait,
Myth.
We have an app in Japan?
We have an app.
An app. The first one. All right.
The very exciting app. Unfortunately, only for iOS at the moment. But the Cthulhu Myth TTRPG Rulebook Plus.
Okay.
This is the temporary name, of course, and that's the translation of the Japanese. But a smartphone app that will be released this year that is basically going to take 40 years of the Kadokawa publication of everything that they've released for Call of Cthulhu and make it available in an app that's notatable, searchable, bookmarkable.
Wow.
And just give you access to everything all in one place for the first time. They're
Cool.
kind of putting everything all together.
This has got to be paid.
The app itself is free, but of course it's in app.
The content. Right, okay.
The content is the content you do have to pay for, but it's access to everything. Right. So you can just kind of gradually, as your group is playing through things, you can gradually download things.
Any idea how much it would cost to get everything?
No, they didn't. They did. They were real quiet about how much per book. I hope it's not close to the physical price of the books, because that would make it kind of difficult. Or maybe they'll do bundles as well. Like maybe they'll do eras, because it sounds like a lot of material. But that was pretty exciting, because it's showing. When they even said, there's a quote from Kadokawa. In recent years, the appeal has spread to the younger generation as a result of replay videos, live streams, and things on like YouTube and Twitch. And the playing population is increasing year by year. So not only is Call of Cthulhu the most popular TTRPG in Japan, it's getting more popular, and more people are being brought to it, because they're seeing it in ways that they view media. So this makes sense to put things on phones, because that's probably the device. So it's probably the way that a lot of people would want to interact with it anyhow, if they're coming from YouTube and Twitch to TTRPGs. And the cumulative circulation of all of the Kadokawa Cthulhu books is 1.1 million in Japan. So that's a huge amount of books, and you do see them everywhere. Basically, every bookstore that has a gaming section, you'll see Call of Cthulhu stuff. Yeah. And this probably explains why it was a good company supporting a good game that matched a market in Japan. So it wasn't like Hobby Japan or whatever. They're kind of bringing stuff over. They're localizing stuff. They're porting stuff, but they don't have that publishing power and that reach. They can't get those books everywhere the same way that Kadokawa does. And so that pairing is exactly what Western games need to have any sort of foothold in Japan. And so if Wizards of the Coast is going to take this into their own hands, they don't know this market. They don't know how to talk to. They don't know how Japanese players play. They don't know what they need. So they're probably not going to have this kind of success. So a domestic partner would probably help them a lot. But they do their own thing. But anyhow. So I was excited to see that Call of Cthulhu is still doing its thing in Japan, and 5e is a distant second. That's pretty.
Take that, Dean.
Right. That's pretty reassuring. Anyhow, I guess I could have qualified it as not the best segment in Japanese.
No, well, it is the best, right? I take it back.
That's right.
Can't be
Context.
the world's greatest role-playing game.
Right.
The world's most lucrative role-playing game.
Right.
In Japan. How about that one?
Yes. But so that will do it for this week. And a little teaser, a little preview for next week. We'll talk a little bit about what happened to Spice DAO and the that purchase of the Dune pre-production Bible that they spent so much money on. The crypto
I'm sure
market.
It was a good investment.
Oh, yes, I'm sure. Everything turned out. They lived happily ever after. Oh, spoilers.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that next week, because that's fun to talk about. So where can people find you?
On Twitter, as always. That's HiveMind, HYVEMYND, where I'm still doing pixel art games, and it's become a radical departure. I realized, I said this on Twitter, I design out loud on Twitter. And I came to a point where I'm just like, why am I doing this? I don't know if it fits. Where, the takeaway for other people is, whatever your game is supposed to be about, don't be afraid to just, cut stuff. Because, after, a couple weeks of development, I went, this isn't working. And I almost got, scaled back to square one,
Oh, wow.
basically. But I think if I put it out, it's going to be a lot better because of it. Like, I didn't need like specific movement and positioning and stuff. I'm just like, it's not what the game's about. The game's about solving these issues. Let's scrap all the stuff that doesn't contribute to that. And it's
cool.
becoming a game more like Flashpoint Fire Rescue or Pandemic.
Oh, interesting.
Where it's just kind of like, okay, we have these problems to solve. That's what the focus is, not programming your little astronaut. So
Interesting.
upside is like, I can just save that programming idea for something else where it'll fit better. So,
very cool.
Anyway.
Yeah, and you should look at too the screen printing for acrylic tiles and stuff. Or acrylic is getting so if you're using pixel art and want something very colorful, that looks gorgeous. I'm not sure.
It kind of glows a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's very bright and especially on a white surface it would look amazing.
Nice.
But I'm not sure cost wise what that's looking like. But yeah, that would be a neat thing to,
After that section on Darkest Dungeon, I don't know.
Gotta be careful. Yeah. But there's a lot of non-Chinese producers of that. Actually, you could do that domestically. You do a test like a prototype domestically. All right.
So how about you?
So I do a single panel gag cartoon called Domestic Abuse that I live stream the creation of every week, and then I eat snacks from a convenience store. So that's got
Who could pass that up?
that's got a nice hang, a nice chat that is a really nice bunch of people watch me do that. So come see that if you want to watch cartoons being made. GoComics.com/domestic abuse is the archive, and that's on Twitch and YouTube. And what you're watching is available also on Twitch and YouTube. So upturntable.com is the website for the weekly. And if you go to patreon.com/upturntable, you can become a weekling.
Yes.
And
The
give us
strongest of all supporters.
yes. And but not the most expensive, interestingly enough. And you can give us some feedback on what you'd like to see and how much more 5e I should try to include every week, just for Chris. And also that, I'll have to get to the level where Chris must watch all of the
why did I agree to doing that? Yeah.
all the Dungeons and Dragons films. So that has to be added as a goal.
Please make it at least reasonably high.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't want to sell myself out for like $1 somewhere, right? That's not worth it. Yeah.
Nice. So please also consider joining us on YouTube. If you're watching this live stream on YouTube, the join button is below. You'll get access to all the member videos, and the full audio of this goes on the RSS feed for the Patreon. So beyond what you're hearing within the regular podcast, some discussion and talking to chat, question and answer. Yeah, pre-game, pre and post gaming. All right, and Upturn Table on all social media. So follow us and get some more goodness.
I like that.
That's it. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye.
I like that.
Nice. All right. Okay. I'll be back in just a
Sweet. Yeah, I got to get back to
All right. So give me about 30 seconds, and I can try to take some of this air conditioner out of the actual audio for the podcast. So I'll be right back. All right. That's probably got to be the most useful video clip I've ever downloaded. My 30 seconds of silence. All right. Yeah, Matt, this could be, the beginning of the slow death of the blockbuster Kickstarter game. Or at least they're just going to have to scale down until supply and production costs and everything get more reasonable, if they ever will. I mean, there's no reason for things to get more reasonable if... it becomes a decent source. If China sees this as beneficial, then it's never going to become reasonable. Yeah, so Matt was saying, Kickstarter backers have become overprivileged babies. Yeah, it was a good run, kids, but time to come back to reality. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we did have a golden age when Chinese production was so cheap and people could very easily get things through. And, so many, especially the bigger companies like Mythic or CMON, they had almost no delay. Like they were within months of hitting their production schedules and fulfillment. It was really crazy. And I think those days are over. And the big kind of Ameritrash, board games that are just like 100 miniatures and, all glossy cards and tokens and stuff. Yeah, we may be at the end of that unless you're willing to pay, multiple hundreds of dollars for the privilege of playing those games. And Matt was talking about Trudvang. Yeah. So Matt says, I bought Trudvang so long ago and honestly forgot until they got the email. Yes. So Matt said the system was clunky and the translation had issues. So I want the basic roleplay based. Oh, yeah, that would be great. And I wonder if that's what Free League is doing in Swedish with the Swedish rights. Yeah, the basic roleplay D100 system in English would be great. I'm sure someone has done that somewhere, like a kind of a fan translation. But yeah, the Paul Bonner art is great. Yeah, and yeah, I follow him on Facebook. His posts and stuff are nice. And if you've ever watched, I think there's a documentary with him. Really, really down to earth, nice guy, which is rare. Let's see, and Matt also said, I did love all the monster lore in Trudvang. Yeah, they did a really nice job of the establishment of the creation myths and the establishment of the lore. And I liked the character classes, the way they did magic and everything that was different. But it's the production quality of Dark Tower. It's worth the price easily, and the tower itself is a very complicated mechanism that seems to be functioning well. It doesn't look like it's got any one kind of weakness that's going to bring the whole thing down. But having to connect to a device, I mean, you can dedicate, like you could take an old Fire tablet or something that can download that app and run it, and hopefully they won't update you out of into obsolescence for an app, and just like leave that with the game, or always make sure that that's near your board games, so you always have that kind of connectivity. But that's a little scary. It's kind of like buying digital only on a game console. It's like, what happens when I lose internet access, or what happens if my account if I can't log into my account, I don't have any games. It feels a little bit like that. This is a board game that I can't play if I can't get my device to connect to the tower. Like there's no manual mode, kind of demo mode. There should almost be something where, you've got a way that you can interact with the tower, like a single button or something you could push on the tower that would, run you through the process and still let it do the randomizing, or let it do the bit of calculation that it would need to do to dump the skulls and do everything without having that device, because we're eventually going to get to a day where that thing is just, I mean, it looks really nice in my bookshelves but I hopefully it won't be only that shortly. So it's the production. I did an unboxing, so you can take a look on the channel when I unbox the miniatures. Just the regular plastic, PVC, or whatever the board game miniature material they used looks so much better with just a simple ink wash that mats everything and pulls out all that detail, gives you nice black lines in the recesses. I mean, it just looks like a whole huge step in quality when it's not. It's just like one more step in the production process. But oh no. Yeah, Matt's talking about the anime horse girl drinks. Oh, I'm sure there's a theme. Yeah, I saw this one of the nights we were watching Japanese TV. There's a mobile game, or maybe it's for a console as well. I think it's a mobile game, but it's basically a horse racing sims. Horse racing games are very popular in Japan. There's some in the arcade kind of game centers where you literally sit in a position like you're at a racetrack. They've got a huge screen that projects the race, and you train your horses. And then you gamble on the races, but it's basically like a that Idol Star game where you're training your idol, and then have a little rhythm game where they are performing. So it's a horse race version of that. And then they took the two, Idolmaster and whatever that Winning 11, or no, that's the soccer one, whatever that horse race one, and they just combined them together. So it's racing anime horse girls. So you are literally girls with horsey ears and like bridles, and I don't know if they're wearing saddles. They don't have riders, I don't believe, but there are girls racing on a horse racetrack, and they are horse anime girls. And Matt wants the drinks based on those characters. And the name of that anime, or the game, that setting is really funny. I can't think of it now, but it's just the worst. So they don't have any trouble objectifying women in Japan. That's a genre of entertainment, horse girl racing. And Matt said, killed the original Dark Tower when I was a kid. Wish I'd kept, many of those old games I had in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I wish too. And they said the motor, like one of the gears in that stripped really easily. So people were manufacturing like replacement gears for the old Dark Towers if you want to get them operational again. But yeah, mine is long gone too. I saw someone did I think it's a Java. It was Flash maybe originally, but now it's like a Java app or a HTML5 or whatever that has all the original sounds. It has the whole logic and everything, basically a web app that you could run the old board game from because it will do all of the same tracking and everything, and you can hear all the sounds and everything from the original game. Oh, which this might sell it for you, Matt. This might sell it for you, which the new Return to Dark Tower does as well. It has a retro mode that you can put it into in the app where it uses all of the original sounds. And they talked a lot. That article on Vulture is really good about the kind of genesis and production process for what they came up with for redoing this. And it is kind of an homage to the game itself. It's not a direct sequel, kind of like a remake, reimagining, because the trademark had lapsed, and they got in contact, like their process of like finding out who owns this and what, how can we get the rights to this. They basically found out that nobody owns it, nobody has the rights to it. So as long as we're not stepping on Stephen King's toes with the name, we can basically do something that functions like that. And the reason that game, it says in this article, of course, the reason that the game was only available for one holiday season, so it's kind of a rare. It was very expensive at the time, like $60, I think, in the early '80s, which is like about $150 or something now. It was only produced for one holiday season because there were a couple of inventors that approached Milton Bradley at the time with a concept, with a game, and I forget the name of the game, but a game there was a rotating thing in the middle of the board that generated the gameplay. And then at the next toy convention, Milton Bradley showed up with a Dark Tower prototype that did that exact same thing. So they had to rush that thing into production because those guys sued them immediately. And in today's money, I think the production costs for the original Dark Tower were like $2 million, and they added another 700 and something thousand in expenses from the lawsuit to the people whose idea they stole, the patent or design that they stole. Yeah, that's right. DD. That's right. Yeah, and all of yeah, and the dragon breath thing. Yeah, the little trilling dragon breathing fire sound. Yes, yeah. It's all very simple, like 8-bit sound, but yeah, it's super nostalgic and. Yeah, so the app makes. I wish they had a soundboard. I wish, like, just in the app they would just do some funny little stuff. They can do in that app. They can do stuff where they just add functionality to it, and they'll be adding. Of course, there'll be an update for the app because it will now support the Covenant expansion once that's produced. But yeah, I really wish that they would come up with a solution to make it totally analog, so you can play it totally online. You could take it to a cabin by the lake, and with no internet and no devices, and still be able to enjoy the game. But what you could do that with the TTRPG that was produced. So yeah, I think a lot of the miniatures and probably even the board itself could be used in the tabletop RPG. But yeah, so I've got a copy of that coming, so we'll see how that looks once it shows up. So yeah, it'll take some. That'll be some more use. The strange thing they did with the RPG though is they produced a cardboard like dice tower, dark tower. So yeah, that seems a little odd and redundant. I can understand why they did it, but it seems a little funny to swap out that already amazing piece of engineering. There should be some way to do something with it for the RPG, like make a soundboard, like just do a soundboard so you can play things through it or something. That would be really cool. Oh, the system is the Mazes system. Ninth Level produced it originally, and I think they're using their fantasy RPG system, which is it's rules light, kind of very simple. But what you're doing, basically, they're using the structure of the board game to create a quest, and you have like 4 seasons, to get through this, to raise an army or find resources or whatever you need to do to like in the board game, to lay siege to the tower. So you're fighting monsters and everything to finally defeat the big bad. But it's kind of on a clock, so yeah, more similar to the rules light systems, like the Powered by the Apocalypse kind of stuff that has ticking clocks. But it's an original fantasy system, and it uses I forget the attributes and things are very different. The way that it plays is very different, but it seems to work okay. It seems to be a decent match for a very kind of light fantasy world. So yeah, we'll see how that works, and if it's and how much of the board game materials you can actually use for it. But yeah, the miniatures are great. There's some really nice miniatures in there, and they've all got a nice ink wash. So something funny, see on the table here, something funny that happened is I wanted to get another physical copy of the Dune core book. So that during character creation and stuff, we're going to, if people don't want to use a tablet, we'll have a book to pass around the table. And it was still full price, even on Amazon. I was like, well, that's pretty expensive. But guess what? The Harkonnen exclusive limited edition cover that they made specifically for Amazon was on clearance, like below $20, like get this out of here prices. So I figured out what the heck, and it's actually much more durable outside. So to pass around, I think it will work well. And it's also got a code for the PDF from Modifius inside. So I thought that was really funny. That's always a mistake. I mean, it's a weird video game mistake that they make with like exclusive DLC and stuff. So when they produced Dune, they did 3 covers. They did an Atreides cover, which is available through the Modifius web store. They did a Harkonnen cover, which is Amazon exclusive, and then the local game store, independent game store, got the Carino, the Emperor's house at the time of the story. So House Carino Harkonnen and Atreides, and they had a bundle you could get for pre-order that had all 3 books plus the regular cover, like 4 copies of the core book, but with all those covers. Otherwise, you had to go to those different sources. But obviously, Amazon hasn't been selling the heck out of this, so they're trying to clear it out. So, of course, as soon as people catch on to that good price, then the algorithm will kind of jack the price back up. But I was lucky. I bought it on the dip. So I have a durable copy of Dune. Now I just have to get people to play it. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. I'm a little disappointed how crazy bright red this cover is. In the photos, it looked like a nice, deep, warm, like leathery red. And it's just the contents of the book, the quality of the pages and everything are identical. It's just basically a wrapped version of the core book, but it does make it a little more durable, and passing this around, it'll take damage a little bit better than the regular cover illustrated. Yeah, right. Or did they do a Savage Worlds ports for that one too? Oh no, I don't think so. Yeah, I think the way that they did, because they port for So the way that they did Dune, I don't think it's going to port to any other system. If you hate the 2D20, this might be a good... I would suggest if you hate 2D20, maybe this and Star Trek might be worth it to give it another try, because they're very complicated kind of workings of those systems. And they have some similarities where you create... you use kind of adjectives to describe situations which have mechanical results that you have to resolve, you have to deal with. Like, there's interesting things, and the thing that works well in Dune that they do, because the kind of all the points economies, momentum and everything in 2D20, I think people get turned off because it's a way to defeat the GM's decision making or things that happen, and it's also a way for the GM to reinforce infinitely a combat, so you can stay bogged down in a combat for multiple sessions, I'm sure. But the interesting thing about this is it switches scales. So there's a boots on the ground, characters interacting. There's a social intrigue kind of combat, of physical combat, but then there's also this like god level, this kind of top down, looking at a strategic, I forget what they call it, but it's a strategic view, strategic mode, where you're actually sending in armies and you're moving again. Oh, hey, K5, how's it going? 8 months. Thank you so much. I got to change that stupid dinosaur to something more thematic. Thank you for being an 8-month member on YouTube. But the system is interesting because you're creating assets within social interaction and conversation, and you're having to interact with these situations that have these other factors. So there's a little bit more like puzzle solving and things that make it interesting and don't kind of, you go in and out of role play, but just like you go in and out of perspective. But I think they did an interesting job. I want to see how it plays, because when we played that first little demo, that the kind of quick start that they released as the pre-order, it was a little bit of investigation and then a little bit of combat, and that's all it was. We didn't have any scale, and there wasn't much intrigue or anything. It was pretty simple. But yeah, it's definitely worth a shot if you are still not feeling it with the 2D20 from Conan or any of the other games. I think both Star Trek and Dune do an interesting kind of permeation of it. Nice, good to see you, K5. So the Savage Worlds third party books called Blackwoods that are actually has rekindled my interest in Star Wars. Ooh. Is it Star Wars? Oh, Savage Worlds. Sorry, in Savage Worlds. It's a Brothers Grimm wuxia mashup fantasy world. Oh, that's very cool. Interesting. I've never played Savage Worlds. All the everybody kind of in this group is real down on it, so there hasn't been, because they did do a port. They did a Savage Worlds port for Mutant Chronicles, and we've been seeing Savage Worlds coming up for Pathfinder and lots of stuff. So we'll see about that. But yeah, that's cool. Well, good to see everybody in chat. Matt and K5 and Kyle, good to see you. the beginning there. So hopefully we'll keep things going. Yeah, but I was surprised. If you want a cheap copy of a physical copy of Dune Rules, that's the way to get it. And the PDF is included in the back there as well. And that's cool because it's I think it's through their web store, not through DriveThruRPG. So yeah, you'll always have it in your library through Modifius. And it's not DRM. It doesn't have a. Hey Joe! Oh, how's it going? Nice. Abyss is hiding from the wrench. Nice. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a while, Joe. Hopefully things are going good. Hopefully you're busy for good reasons. Out in the world. All right. So yeah. So more. Yeah. Hopefully. So we're looking at early next month for our first session of Blade Runner. We had to postpone, and yeah, we'll be doing that soon. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that goes. I've been over the case file enough, the first adventure. I think I've got a pretty good sense of it and kind of where things can go. And I'm really curious to see how the tracking, because you're basically using a tracker and you've got a limited number of shifts, basically times of the day, and a limited number of days before things completely go wrong. So I'm curious about how that's going to go. Oh, work in school, exhausting, and I'm sure the hot weather has not made that any easier. Nice. Well, good. Well, I'm glad to see you around. So we'll do this again next week, and yeah, I'm very interested to see what CMON does with Trudvang. There's so much great assets and art and stuff for that. They can definitely, and I want to see what they did because it's an Eric Lang game. So I want to see what they did with the Trudvang Adventures, I think it's called, their board game, because it's going to have a ton of miniatures in it that I was hoping to actually use for the game and setting itself. So what do you think? How do you think a Year Zero, like a Forbidden Lands system, would work in the Trudvang world, like just a port? I mean, maybe it's kind of meaningless and redundant in a way, but I wonder if the Forbidden Lands fantasy Year Zero would be a good simplification or a good streamlining for the Trudvang setting, or just basic roleplay. Yeah, I think you're right, Matt. We should just strip it out and go completely old school and just have the basic fantasy. Nice. Oh, K5. Oh, so nice. So K5 has gifted 5 Upturn Table memberships. So, wow. Amazing. Matt Robinson has become a member. Oh my gosh, so much responsibility now, Matt. You have a wrench and a membership. Wow. So I will allow gifts. I am allowing gifts on the channel. Oh, K5, thanks. I didn't know about that functionality. Oh, thanks. Oh, nice. So Matt is starting with the Mishima. God, I got to get some more. K5 has already blown past all of the badges for membership. I got to get some new. We'll change genres, go into Chronopia or something. K5, thanks so much. All right. Nice. Yes. So everything. So memberships. Yeah, membership gifting is now available. Thanks, K5. Yeah, I just turned that on. Oh, thank you so much. That's really very kind of you. So anybody that's just lurking in the chat or watches the live stream regularly, get a free membership. Nice. Hey, Joe is a member. Thanks. Oh, K5. Thanks. That's really nice. Yeah, so anybody else? Miguel, how's it going? Oh, Stygian badges. Yes, definitely. Swamp Goblins and Stygian. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll go through the icons because I isolated a lot of those in Photoshop for my for lore videos. So I'll go through and I'll port those in so you can be all sorts of houses of elves and yes, the everything from. Oh, very cool. And I'll do some more. Got to get some Chris emojis and stuff in there so you guys can have more fun. I think all that's in there right now is the table. So thank you, K5. You got me some motivation there. Oh, nice. Miguel's painting. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, Joe, thank you so much. Is it going to get a notification? Thank you for the super chat. $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Joe. It's good to see you. Glad to have you around. Yeah, I think I'll put that until I do a more useful version. I'll put that Blade Runner in the member files as well. Thanks so much. Very cool. Oh, no notification. There it is. All right. Joe, thanks for the super chat. Very cool. Great to see you in the chat. Wow. Yes, if you're listening to this on the RSS feed, there may be some channel memberships still available on YouTube. So follow that link in the description to the YouTube itself, or just search Upturn Table on YouTube. Nice. Yeah, K5 gifted us with 5 memberships. Very cool. All right. Yeah, so nice. Thank you, guys. It's good to have such a great chat and a nice supportive group. Yeah, right. The notification was really delayed. That was super slow. Yeah, I got to do some more thematic ads there. It takes a while because I see it in the chat, and then watching it go through Streamlabs. So maybe Streamlabs is a little slow. Great. Nice. Yeah, and with the weak yen, that is a mighty donation, Joe. Thank you so much. Oh, that's so we didn't have enough people to create gift memberships. Yeah, thanks for doing that, K5, because I had no idea I needed to approve that. So now that's all turned on. So under the so now there's a membership, gifting, membership, super chats, and super stickers, which I need to make some of. Nice. Right. Yeah, it probably doesn't. Yeah, I think the app doesn't have the same functionality. Oh, that's cool. Mobile. Yeah, that's so frustrating that no app has. Yeah, because they did like the YouTube Studio app, and you have such limited access to the back end of YouTube. It's almost useless. All it does is like remind you to stand up and walk over to the PC so you can actually use the web-based. Yeah, it's crazy. So this is the biggest coffee available right now, and only 200 yen. So this is like less than $2 in U.S. currency. So very cheap iced coffee for the summer. All right. Oh, thank you guys so much. And thanks for manning those blue wrenches. I guess there weren't enough people to swing them at this week, but we'll give that a shot. And it seems like the kind of 12:30, 1 o'clock Japan time is the time we'll be around. So what is that, like 9 Pacific? Close to something like that, 9 p.m. Pacific, the night before. Very cool. So, so I'll wrap things up this week, and we'll be back next week and talk a little Dune cryptocurrency, tokens at least, and find out what happened to that amazing group that bought the Jodorowsky pre-production book. Nice. Okay, so so about 10, yeah. Nice, yeah, so we start around 9 Pacific time. All right. Cool. All right. Well, great. So it was, good to see everybody. And we'll do this again next week. So, and before then, possibly, right after that. So that next day, we will be doing some Blade Runner. So, take care, everyone. Yeah, nice to see everyone. Yeah, it's been a few weeks, Joe, but it's good to be busy. So, Miguel, good to see you. Joe, K5, thank you for your generosity. That was amazing, and I'll get some more badges and stickers in there. All right, so take care. And Kyle, if you're still around, keep an eye out for those membership, that free membership. All right, take care, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.